In the interest of time, we'll get started here. We're trying to get the sound system work, so bear with us. If you can't hear me, I would just say move up so that we don't want you to miss anything. We appreciate everyone for taking time to come out tonight. We look forward to the open dialogue and the opportunity to address any concerns you have and have some good conversation about the project we're going to highlight here. So I'll kind of run down our agenda for today. Before I do that, I'm Troy Goodenough, I'm the sheriff, and with me is Captain Dave Rainey, he runs our Uniform Services Division and our Aviation Division. We're going to have a PowerPoint here to discuss the flock BFR, and following that, we'll open it up for some conversation. We ask everybody to be respectful of each other, whether you're pro or against. Appreciate what they have to say and give them the opportunity. We're not going to ask for your name when you come up here. This is not like most government meetings. You don't have to say where you live. Just express any questions or ask any questions or any concerns that you have. We would just ask in the interest of time that you keep your comments to about 3 minutes. We're not going to keep track, just so that we afford everybody the opportunity and we're be cognizant of your time this evening. Before we get started, I have a couple questions. Who in here does not have a cell phone or use a cell phone? Stand up. And you'll say, well, why is he asking that? And we'll circle around why I'm asking that. My next question is, if you have a child, a loved one, or an adult that maybe suffers from Alzheimer's or something that wanders away from your house, and you call Monroe County Central Dispatch, do you want us to respond with all the resources we have to reunite with that loved one rapidly? If you say no, you do not want us to respond with all the resources, I ask that you stand up. Okay, thank you.
Resources.
What resources? I'll get into that. I said all resources so that you can reunite.
Is this the dialogue?
It's resource dependent.
No, I just asked a question, and I said, keep that in mind. After our program, we'll circle back around why I asked that question. Give you a little history on the Sheriff's Office in Aviation. Early 2000, Sheriff Gilman Crutchfield obtained 2 aircrafts, 2 helicopters that we used for many, many years for search and rescue and to look for missing people and crime prevention. DFRs are no different. When Sheriff Malone took over in 2013, he eliminated the Aircraft Aviation Division and he purchased a drone to maintain that same type of service and resource. When I took over as your sheriff in 2021, we upgraded that resource. We now have multiple drones. We have a drone that does interior searches with our SWAT team. And we have a bigger drone that we do search and rescue in different operations that we utilize that device for. So the DFR has a different name, but the purpose and mission remains the same. And I want you to think about something, and I know there's some people here that were anti-data center. This has nothing to do with the data center tonight. Our conversation has nothing to do with data center. It's all about DFR, drone first responders. But I heard something in the people that addressed the township board that got my attention. And it was the environmental impact that a data center would have on our community, our waterways, our noise. Now, having that same piece of information, and let's say that we have a traffic crash on I-75 and we had multiple crashes involving tanker trucks or fuel leakage that ended up in our waterways in Frenchtown County. It was a significant amount of time before the first responders had an opportunity to assess that situation and determine if we had fuel leakage into the Sand Creek. Wouldn't it be nice to have a piece of equipment that could be there in 85 seconds and give an overview to the emergency first responders, say, hey, this is a chemical, boy, chemical that we need to keep contained. We need to shelter in place or evacuate to protect our citizens. Whereas equally as important, we have a fuel leak that's getting into Sandy Creek in 85 seconds. We can tell our dispatch and first responders we now need to dispatch the appropriate resources to deal with this, versus an hour later when the men and women or our first responders get on scene and stuff. So just keep that in mind. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Dave Raymond. As I said, he's going to give you a presentation on SWAT, DFR, and then we'll open up questions after that. Where's what? No, this is your board. Not me here. The Frenchtown Township has nothing to do with this.
Well, they have proof.
They have to do what?
Allow them to have
They don't. No. And I don't want to give you too many questions to answer, but I'll clear up your question in case anybody has the same thing.
I just thought they'd be interested in what our comments are or concerns.
So we'll be more than happy to share. More than happy. We merely went to Frenchtown Township to seek permission to put a launch platform on a piece of property owned by Frenchtown.
Yeah.
And when we started doing our analysis, the piece of property that we originally selected for this pilot program, the flock group said no because there was too much goalie to place that. That's the permission that we needed for them. To do a drone operation, I do not need the permission. Just, again, not trying to be arrogant, I'm just trying to. And again, if they were here and there was a form that would have to be posted, there would have to be, so they don't violate the open meeting. I was at a Frenchtown meeting, there were some ladies there that had some concerns, and I said, you know what? And I don't mean just ladies, there were some men there as well. And I said, hey, let's have a town hall meeting, and let's address these concerns in an open forum, and give people the opportunity to ask their questions, meaningful conversation, and get the accurate information. Right? Thank you, and I'll let the captain start with his presentation.
Good evening, everybody. This is going to be pretty short and sweet. Right now, I'm going to start with the basics, where we started, where we're hoping to go, some of the technology involved in it. We've got a couple of short videos kind of showing you what the program's capable of, and then we'll open some questions for everybody. So as the sheriff said, we have partnered with Flock for this DFR program. They're currently DJI drones, which we currently fly. They're the most reliable and cost-effective currently on the market by far, no comparison. So Flock we're just using for the software portion of it, flight controls and mapping systems. So we'll go over the breakdown, the difference between the drones that we currently have in the DFR program, the drones of first responder, how the technology integrates into our existing technology with CAD, our dispatch system, how it relates to Monroe County, some examples and use cases, and then obviously the most important in everybody's minds, I'm guessing, is going to be the safety, the security, and the transparency. So as we'll see, there's going to be a public-facing portal that you can see every report we conduct. All right, so we're not hiding. So today, if we were to get called, sent to a call for service and report a drone, the deputy gets on scene, or the trooper or the officer, whoever needs it, gets on scene, determines, hey, I need a drone for whatever reason. A missing person, a fleeing suspect, whatever the case may be. If I was home right now, I'd have to throw my uniform, get in my patrol car, drive to the office. The drone, our large drone is kept on the second floor. Right? I walk up there, grab the drone, come back down to my patrol car. I drive to the scene, and then I launch. Obviously, depending on traffic, time of day, and all the whatever else is going on in life, they can take some time. With the DFR program, anywhere our pilots have a computer and internet connection, they can launch the drone. The drones themselves, we'll discuss here shortly, have a 3.5-mile radius from the base station. They can get on scene in roughly 90 seconds from the launch point. Part of this process also will be Flock 911. So our drone pilot will listen into the actual 911 call before the dispatcher puts it into our CAD system. Getting that vital data, they make a listen and say, this is the call that needs to go. All right, so before the dispatcher is even able to type it into the CAD system and even think about dispatching a deputy or a trooper or whoever, that pilot can send that drone and get it flying. Search and rescue, obviously, is going to be a big thing. We've already got a water rescue, this spring on Lake Erie. This is gonna be a huge opportunity for us to get a drone in the air, be able to scan out over Lake Erie, and help first responders, whether it's our boat or fire, locate those missing people, in much faster time. Obviously, you know, anything about Lake Erie, those waves can pick up and capsize a boat in no time. Right, so the quicker we get someone on scene, keep eyeballs on, the much better chance you're gonna have the survival of watching, the water rescue. SWAT and tactical support. We do have a SWAT team within the counties, joint between the county sheriff's office and the city bureau police. This will be able to provide overwatch for the drone. So say we have a barricaded subject, we can have this drone in the sky, live stream the incident command vehicle, maybe team commander or anything, to give an overview of that scene itself. And as you can imagine, someone that's in charge of 20 different people picking out where they're at, what they're doing, what they're watching, it's a lot easier to keep track of everybody with that in the sky. With that, obviously, we can do that with our the pre-planned rate. We can do that with our current drone. This just makes it a lot easier to support things. Then any kind of investigation evidence. I'll show you a video later. A subject had assaulted a girlfriend with a firearm. He flees. The drone finds him fleeing down an alleyway, hops a fence, and it actually shows him the drone's watching as he buries the gun underneath the stuff. Hops the fence again and keeps on walking. Without that drone, this guy who actually watching that, the chances of finding that gun, that canine maybe would have been able to track the suspect down, but wouldn't be able to jump the fences and recover that kind of property. Is it going to solve everything? No, but it's going to be a great tool. All right, some of why the DFR matters for public safety. On average, it's an 83-second response time. 80% of the cases that the agencies these are used with, as the first responder, 80% of the time, right? It beats anybody on the road. And as you can imagine, as the crow flies, it's going to be a lot faster with no traffic or anything else to worry about. The drone gets on scene much faster. Reduced response times, again, provides an 86% average reduction in response time. Locating subjects prior to the patrol response and relaying key information. All right, relaying that information to the deputies as they respond to the scene makes it safer for everyone. Right? Nobody's getting surprised when they enter the scene of what they're getting into. There have been cases where the police were called because, I don't think I have this video, the police were called because the subject was at a gas station and reported with the gun into his hand and pulled the gun out. So, as you can imagine, multiple road cars were responding to this. What the drone was able to see as the other cars were responding was a pistol-shaped lighter. Luckily, the drone pilot was able to see this guy light a cigarette with a pistol-shaped lighter. Probably not the smartest thing, and I'm not saying many people would do that. But relaying that critical information so that there wasn't an accidental or misunderstanding of the shooting. So it provides that critical information as the control units are responding. Another thing is it can clear calls in support of the patrol officers. Throughout the day, we'll get calls for vehicles broken down in intersections or a tree down the road. If we can fly that drone on scene first before responders even get there, cars already removed, it's been fixed, we can disregard that officer, or at least slow them down for whatever it needs. That we're saving those resources for the MR. So this is some of the integration. Everybody sleep decently on these TVs. So as I mentioned, flock 911 to the drone pilot actually listens to the 911 call. Right? Dispatch has done an amazing job in this county. However, they can't type in every single word that 911 caller makes. Right? So some of those things that they may miss while typing in their notes, if that pilot hears something, with a long experience that they think is a little more important, just happen to miss those notes, that could be a critical aspect of it. Flock LPR, as most of you know, we have flock license plate readers throughout the county. If this gets a hit, the pilot will instantly get notified of the location of the LPR hit, as long as, and for those that don't know, LPR is license plate reader. So if there's a stolen vehicle that gets hit, say 1675, the drone pilot would instantly get notified of the location of the vehicle information, and it would give them the or she can hit that button, and it, I'm refreshing. I think keeps on going to sleep on. I think it's going back. So it'll give you the GPS coordinates. The pilot will hit that, call for service, the drone will go up to its predetermined altitude of 200 feet, fly directly to those coordinates without any input from the pilot. Pilot can then take over and start searching for that data. And the LPRs give you the direction of travel to, so you know which way you're looking for. And then one, live video. The drone can send live video from itself down to unit supervisors, right, to the deputies, terminals within their car. So as they're responding to the scene or as they're supervising the scene, they can make those critical information. From flying the drone since 2017, I can tell you that the view from the sky, as you can imagine, is much different than looking straight across it. It's a lot easier to control the scene when you're above 200 feet. And then CAD, computer assisted dispatch. So this will blend right with our CAD system.
If you were trying to switch to a different slide, I think that's been on the same slide for a couple of minutes.
No, that was the same one.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you. So this syncs directly with our CAD system, right? So when the call for service comes in, part of CAD, and 911 instantly provides a GPS coordinate. So if it's a call for service, it's something that the drone is needed, the drone pilot can click on that and they call for service. The GPS coordinates are automatically put in there and it can fly directly to it without worrying about pilot input. So there's going to be a mobile app that the deputies in command will have. They can track and follow vehicles in real time. And I'm talking about something, right? Stolen vehicle. If someone steals something from Meyer, they can insert and see them in there. They can log onto that vehicle and follow it through. And we're working on multi-drone. So our thought right now is we're going to have 2 locations per base station, and each location will have 2 docks with 2 drones. So a total of 4 drones. We already have some FAA waivers that allow us to fly beyond visual line of sight, which we require for a program like this. But we'll also be applying for a waiver for multi-drones. So that would allow one pilot to operate multiple drones at one time. You think maybe that's not the safest? With the software and the way these are built, as I said with the GPS coordinates, so I can fly, launch, fly to sea. On average, I'm going to have a 25-minute flight time. So in the air, watching that scene. Obviously, batteries deplete at some point. We have an average of 55 minutes of flight time. But if I can watch for 25 minutes, if I get the waiver for multiple, as this one's about to die and return home, I can have that other one up, and we can leapfrog. You can take her almost. So it's going to be a huge benefit. So here's that. Proposed layouts with one dock station being in Frenchtown Township, one group of docks in Minerva Township, and with the overlap that will also cover the entire city of Minerva, minus a little bit towards the lake production. So 2 launch locations, 4 docks. The one in Monroe Charter Township, we're looking at putting the township hall at 4925 East Dunbar. The locations for Frenchtown Township, we're still determining. As the sheriff mentioned, we initially want to put on the senior center, but with the evaluation and the large trees in the area, we just found we would really lose our flight radius because of signal strength. So that's why we're determining a new location for that, which hasn't been figured out yet. And I apologize, I'm not talking about if we thought we had these mics, but they don't seem to work right now. Effective coverage is a covered 3.5 miles in any direction, a 55-minute flight time, and depending obviously on the distance from the dock, an average of 25 minutes on scene time before you have to return and go back to your station. Even if we don't have the waiver for multiple drones, this drone travels 45 miles per hour. Right? So it's not going to take you long to get from that 3.5 miles out, back, land it, and get the other one back up and running. So we'll have pretty mentioned, this is more than just law enforcement. This is all public safety. There's no reason that we can't work together to keep this entire community safer and better. With this, any kind of structure fire that comes in, if I can get the drone overhead and start providing a live feed to fire command, right, letting them know, one, yes, we have a fire. Yes, there's smoke. Yes, there's flames. I'm seeing it out of this side of the house. This will also have thermal, so you can tell which part is actually producing the heat. It lets fire command make the educated determination of what fire apparatus they're going to bring, how many, or if I get in the air to get there and there's no sight of smoke, of flame, or any additional heat, maybe then they make the decision, I don't need to bring 5 $1 million trucks to this scene. All right, maybe I can slow down, we'll evaluate there, and then we can make the determination.
So if you get a call, you're not gonna send somebody out right away with them to home, this site?
If it's something that requires police response, we're still gonna send it.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is just helps make an informed decision for some of those larger situations. Say the mall, right? Say, hey, we're getting a fire alarm here. We didn't see start flying around. Obviously, fire is going to get that fire alarm. They're going to start responding. But if we can tell them, yeah, we're seeing flames. It's coming out of this side of the building. They give them a more informed decision. They can start asking for additional resources from the township, from the city, and kind of help make that informed decision a little better than they can fly. So we're still going to send out. We're not only sending drones to handle. These drones don't have microphones or speakers, so I can't talk you through it. So we're not taking out the human aspect whatsoever, just making more informed decisions.
And just sort of, I should have said this in the beginning. I want everybody to understand, this is not to replace boots on the ground, not at all. This is just another tool for our toolbox to improve the services that we deliver to the citizens of Monroe County, and another tool to protect our officers in multiple situations. It's not replacing a single body.
This will get up here shortly. Again, just the rapid response, first on scene, critical situational awareness, live intel while they're en route. So like I said, they can see that live feed as they're responding to the scene. Scene assessment, what's needed, what's not. With the drones, we have a lot of train tracks through here, a lot of tanker trains, whatever you would like to call them. I'm not a railroad guy. But obviously there's a lot of chemicals that pass through this county. With the zoom on the drone, and they would all be recorded at placards, you can read that placard, say if we had an issue. With the thermal aspect of that drone, you can actually see the fill within that drone. Just from the heat resonating off it. I was very surprised, back in 2021, we started training with ours. You can actually see how much that tank is holding with that chemical. So obviously that provides extremely valuable information that any kind of hazmat situation. In joint response, right? This is just our start of what we're looking to get into. But the more agencies, departments, organizations that we can help for public safety, we're going to do it. All right, so this is just showing a very small portion of the transparency. Every flight we fly will be on this transparency portal, right? Nothing is being hidden. It will show you the flight path, where it flies. It'll give you the call for service, the reason we're flying in that area. It's all out there for everybody.
Outcomes?
I'm sorry?
Outcomes?
Outcomes? I don't know. Obviously, we're still brand new into this. I don't know that it will show the outcomes. Good, bad, do we find the person, do we not find the person type of thing. But it will show you date, time, location, the reason we were out there, and then the flight path.
Just a follow-up real quick statement, and I know you have a Q&A, I'll be really super short. Without an outcome visible, how are we going to know as residents anywhere that it's a successful program?
Okay, and that's a valuable question. Did everybody hear what her question was? I'm sorry, Mike's not working. I apologize for that. The question was, how do we know what the outcomes are? And how are we going to use this as a tool to evaluate whether we're going to continue with this program or not? A very valuable question. Every call for service will generate what we call call a call for service numbering, a number in CAD. There will be CAD notes added, and the captain's right. You'll see the path of the aircraft and the purpose. At the end of the day, you can then FOIA that particular call, and we can look at it, and it will tell you with the CAD notes what the outcome is. And that's what we're going to use. And I think it's important to mention, this is a pilot program. Okay, we're going to pilot this. Our plan is to pilot this for 1 year. If we see value, then we'll look at continuing. There'll be a team that we will put together of first responders from various disciplines to look at this. Is it good return on our investment? Did it reach the objectives that we wanted to reach? And that was provide superior public service to our residents and hopefully save lives. And if we don't get those, just as a couple points answered, then there's no need to go forward. That's why it's called a pilot program. So, and I know we want to get through this and then we'll go on.
I'm almost done.
Yeah, just give us a couple more minutes and then we'll get back into that question, okay? Thank you.
All right, so as I said, I'm almost done. Summary. With us working with FLOT, they provide the station software, training, their support helped us get our FAA waivers, which, depending on who you work with, can cost quite a bit of money. They provide the public transparency portal. All this required for us to put these stations are 220 volts of internet connection. Right, the sheriff's office and the county are going to provide wherever we find these base stations are going to pay for that cost. The difference between this and the traditional drones, the DFR operates beyond a visual line of sight. Normally, whenever you're flying a drone, whether it's big or small, you have to keep it within line of sight. I have a little one that's this big that I can fly underneath all your chairs through here. Obviously, if I was flying it outside, I can't fly it very far. Our large one, that's about as wide as this table and about this big, I can fly a mile out and still see it. All right, so it's all different. But obviously, you round the corner or hit over a tree line, you lose that sight, you can't fly it any farther. With this, we're able to fly beyond the visual line of sight. As the sheriff said, this is a force multiplier, not a replacement. We're not going to move boots on the ground, deputies out there going to your front door and call. This is just another tool for them to use. It extends our reach, it reduces response time drastically, and improves outcomes for personnel in their routes. I haven't covered yet, but the camera position. When this launches from the dock, it flies straight up to 200 feet. 200 feet is where our FAA waiver allows us to fly under. The camera faces straight forward and flies directly to that scene. The pilot then takes control, will then tilt the camera down and start searching whatever he or she is looking for. Okay? But from the point of the dock to the scene, the camera's facing straight forward. We're not looking down, we're not peeking into people's backyards, peeking through windows. It's just straight. Okay? On top of that, in order for us to obtain any kind of evidence from anywhere that a citizen would have an expectation of privacy, we're required to obtain a search warrant. Right? The same kind of search warrant I would have to get if I wanted to walk into your house. Right? So we don't take this lightly, we're not spying on people. We don't have the time, the inclination, desire, or the legality to do anything like that. Right? This is just to help us get from point A to point B, camera straight forward. We then pan the camera on and begin our search. And then just finally, the DFR program is used for active public safety missions. It's not going to launch or fly for any type of surveillance activity, for any kind of protective events, right? We're not out flying marches, we're not doing any kind of protests. That's a protected thing. We're not going to touch it, right? This is for active public safety incidents. All right, so I told you I was going to play a couple of videos. These fellows sleeping in. So I'll go over them and then I'll have to shut the PowerPoint down and then open up the videos. So this first one I'm going to show you, it gets a license plate reader hit of a stolen vehicle. It launches from the DFR program. They locate a stolen vehicle. It guides officers right in there, take them into custody. It then gets a second LPR hit for a second stolen vehicle. It also locates them. That'll be the first one we watch. The second one is what I talked about earlier. Dan threatens his girlfriend with a firearm. He flees on foot. The drone locates him, follows him through an alleyway. He hops a fence. The pilot watches him bury a gun in the backyard, changes clothes, hops the fence again, keeps on walking. Without that drone in the air, chances are they never would have found that, or a child would have possibly found that gun in the backyard. And then just the third one, which is kind of interesting, they get a 911 hang-up call, dispatch calls them back, oh, it was an accident, I'm fine, I butt dial, okay? We still have to check on that person. So the drone pilot actually called the complainant back, hey, you okay? Yep, I'm fine, I'm at the mall, they just got back into my car. Okay, well, put your hand out the window, wait. Little did the person know that the drone was already overhead, looking down, looks up, waves to the pilot, talks to him, all set. All right. So many uses, those are just a couple examples. Let me get to the videos. So as you can see, when it, I'll go back a little bit, but when it takes off, this is the forward facing.
Well, he's searching that, and you bring up a good point, and I told you, you wanna know what the outcomes were as the public. This is what we want your feedback. What other things would you like to see? I'm not telling you we can make it all happen, but we will definitely look into it. You say, well, I wanna know what this drone did in this operation. That's something that we can put on a public portal, not violate any rights or anything, stop and watch it.
So this is the one at the mall. Zooms in, confirms the number. Just waits for the pilot. Right? Not saying that we're not going to still respond to make sure, but at least we can let, hey, just park right here, says everything's fine, she's waving, right? Just shortens that response time, right? This is the guy that assaulted his girlfriend with a firearm. People in the front yard of the house have no idea this guy's in the backyard, right next to their dog. I think Fido was helping him bury it. So like I said earlier, with a canine, you may be able to track where this person goes eventually, but the chance that you would recover that firearm or even know that he threw that firearm in there was slim to none. These are just a couple of use cases. The other one, I think, crashed on me, but. So this is a stolen vehicle. White truck with a trailer with the car on the back. They got the LPR hit, flew it to that location, located the license plate that came back as stolen. And as you'll see, the patrol units, they walk right into it, take the subject into custody. And that's what it looks like when we're just flying forward. And we're just even with now that you got that second LPR hit, so they're looking for that one. You see the patrol units on the bottom there, are pulling in behind it. They're pulling in this parking lot, take them into custody. Just two stolen vehicles in custody and one road plate. I'm not saying it's gonna happen here, because luckily we don't have any stolen cars, but it's possible.
Okay, being in a small crowd, mic's not working, is everybody comfortable with standing up, or would you prefer to come up to the podium? Pardon me? Oh, absolutely, as long as, what I just want is everybody can hear the question and make sure they hear our response. This is an open conversation, so it's not, what's that?
Just speak loudly and distinctly.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. Like I said, this is not some hard and fast rules. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of start from the front back, if that's okay. And then we'll come back, and don't need to be fast, you don't have to follow up questions. So I'm gonna start on the right, the back, and then we'll go to the left. Anybody in the front row? Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna ask, Alex, locally, I guess, Michigan has piloted, and what was their?
Great, that's great. Yeah, well, thank you, that's a great question. She asked, who else has a system DFR, if I can rephrase a little bit, Michigan? The captain and, Monroe Public Safety went to Oakland County, looked at their program, went to Dearborn, we looked at their program, and the city of Toledo Police, and the city of Toledo. And there are other government agencies, I think, that are in the C stages of starting their program as well.
Also pilots, or if they have started, they have.
Yes, ma'am, they have the DFR program. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
There's a shooting, active shooter at the high school. Can you walk through what happens, based on the presentation?
Yeah, so I'll give you, the captain will jump in here, easy, it's also the
Based
captain.
on the time frame, because there's a short time frame window that they want, right, or there's 25 minutes.
Yeah, so,
55 minutes of flight, depending on the distance from the dock, you can expect at least 25 minutes in the air, watching the scene before you go back and switch out target that. But 55 minutes of flight.
So you get a call that there's an active shooter, then what happens? If you watch the drone,
You would launch immediately, head to wherever that was taking place, and start providing overwatch and add any additional information to those responding officers as you can, right? If you see someone with a gun, obviously, or if you start seeing people fleeing from a certain area, just take your eye on it, right? If they're all fleeing out of A wing, or you see something at B wing, you can just provide additional information as responding or running away inside of going to that call.
and I want to expand on that, remember, we said, we hear the call coming in, so before a single police officer gets dispatched, that drone is launching, it's getting this, we don't want to talk about a tragedy event like that, but this is a great tool for us, because now we can keep eyes on the situation, if the offender flees, we're tracking with the drone. And, you know, one of the things that we're very fortunate, this county and city, is we have a school resource officer in the school that hopefully can mitigate our exposure for the problems related to tragedies and that. Does that answer your question? Well, what can we give you to help you clarify? Just provide more information. Anything in the next row? Well, we now we'll come back. Like I said, don't.
I'm just curious about so it's a pilot program, and you're gonna have a board that's gonna review this program after a year, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a group of people, we'll probably bring in some citizens.
That's
Keep in
kind of
mind,
where this is going. Do you have an idea of who these members are gonna be and what their backgrounds are? And then about maybe having a civil liberties attorney, maybe ACLU type of, just, because a lot of people's concerns, mine especially, is just, your Fourth Amendment type issues. And if to see it during this program, at any time, was there a violation, or has it been a problem? There wasn't one, that was most people's concerns.
And you bring up, why did I have this, right? It was driven by some concerns I heard from people in the community, which I said, let's get this out. And I value that, because yes, and let me just say this, we have 20 weeks of preparation before this is put in, before we launch our first drone, right? But yes, we're gonna look at what we want. We want a diverse group of people. We want citizens, and you know what? I never thought about the civil liberties attorney. 100%. This is gonna be a group of people that can make an informed decision and take that information back to their group that they represent. And I know we weren't gonna get into the flocks and the LPRs too much, but we do audits. The captain oversees that. We have various levels. That same level of security is gonna be given to this operation. I take an oath of office, and I have my moral compass that I'm gonna follow. And I'm not gonna do anything to trouble somebody's constitutional rights or do something outside my moral compass. And if I find that it was, we're gonna do that. And we'll make that available to anybody that asks. So at the end of that 1 year, we're gonna say, we flew this many missions. This was the outcome. And we have no problem sharing that, as long as we don't trauma on somebody else's constitutional rights. I believe in transparency. Been a sheriff for 5 years, and almost 4 months. And, I take that opportunity to be your sheriff, and I take my oath of office seriously. We're gonna respect the Constitution, rights. So, and I value it, truly appreciate talking about this. I have no problem with somebody like that.
What you just said, on that topic, you have to, this is none of you have that about. I got a problem with company, what you definitely.
Okay, yeah, that's not for public, we'll have that conversation, absolutely.
Well, I think the drone fall.
Pardon me?
The drone fall. Is it what happened? The drone falls outside.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened? I mean,
Well, we're gonna pray that it doesn't damage property or people.
it's possible.
Yes, ma'am, anything is possible. I'm not gonna tell you it's not. I can tell you when we had the 2 aircraft flying, and there's somebody in the crowd that will probably address you on that issue. They always said when we put the helicopter, the pilots would tell us this. I was in the administration under Sheriff Malone, and they said it's not if a helicopter crashes, it's when. And when it does, lives are gonna be lost. Whether it's people on the aircraft or people on the ground. I think our propensity for loss of life with this drone is far less than if we put an aircraft.
Something that will be self-flying, you said, which makes it a lot.
Do you know how many fly right now in Detroit? Delivering
Detroit's
back?
a big city, though, also. So
What's
in
that?
big cities, I understand, because it's hard to get through the traffic and all that. We are in a small town. So, I mean, I support it over fire, I support it over water, I don't support it over houses or roads.
And then,
And who creates the software? Is it China? Because you're surveilling us with software from China, so those are my concerns.
there is nothing that we fly within this county that Google Earth can tell you. We're not flying, like I said, into your house, in your, anywhere enclosed. And the FAA regulates flying over people, flying over residences. The state of Michigan came to regulate that this time. The FAA has full regulations over everything. And that's part of the waivers we've already received. All of our pilots will be Part 107 trained, FAA certified as no pilots. Again, like the sheriff said, I can't tell you that it's impossible that these things crash. Will crash. I've been flying since 2017. I've never had one go down, but I can't tell you it's not.
But you also don't find ones that you have to keep an eyesight, so these are.
They're the same exact ground, just different regulations.
Taylor Houston have theirs from.
They did.
Yep, and that's why I didn't come up here and tell you it can't happen. I'm not gonna tell you it can't happen. And you say you want for water, well, we have to launch it from somewhere. Even if we put it on this building here, it has to go over homes or property to get to that water. And you understand, we're gonna do everything to mitigate it, but at the end of the day, if we can save a life, I mean, every day we put on this uniform, bad things can happen. We were back about 48 hours, 3.5 days ago. Bad things happen. And this is another tool to mitigate bad things from happening. We need to be honest. Yes,
With it being 3.5 mile circumference for where the raised, we need a lot more drones. Would you not become more common?
oh, and I can tell you, when we started this over a year ago, we said, what's our 1-year plan? What's our 2-year? We have actually a 5 or 6 year plan. They're preliminary. If the pilot program produces results that the group feels is valuable and resourceful, we do want to put a few more out. But we're gonna be very limited in where we put them.
Obviously, with it being a pilot program, you want to put them in this community activity.
So I'll give you any kind of statistics, okay? District one, county broken up into 3 districts. District one, let me back up. Each district has 5 townships. District one is Monroe, Frenchtown, Berlin, Ash, and Raisin. Those 5 townships handle 67% of the calls for service in this county. So why do we choose to pilot this in Frenchtown and Monroe Town? Because we cover a vast majority of the area. The township is the next one. We looked at, okay, in years 2 and 3, we put one in Bedford Township, we can centrally locate that and cover all 4 corners, to my right, Captain of Bedford Township. We know we have a lot of growth out west, we have a lot of growth north. I would be remiss if I didn't look at the big picture and say, if this goes, what's our 5-year plan, what's our cost, and how do we fund it? And those are questions that we are prepared. We prepared to answer when we did it. And I can't stress enough, this is pilot. If we find that there's more bad than good, I think we'll go right, we'll send it back and say thank you, we appreciate the opportunity to test it, but it's not for us. That answers your question.
That was my question, and where does the funding come from? And what is the financial burden to the residents?
Yeah, so, and that's a great question. And what we did before we signed, before we agreed to look at this pilot program, we said we have to be prepared if we do like the results and it's effective, what's our cost? We sat down with the county finance team and we said, listen, this is, we get this 1 year, no cost for the equipment, but as the captain said, we have a little bit of cost involved in putting these platforms out, the electric and the monthly cost. If we do see the value and we go forward, can we fund this? The county is forecasted, as you know, or you may not know, they forecast 5 years out, revenue versus expenditure. We gave them the big picture, and they said, yes, the funding is there, no additional taxes, no nothing to the community. You can use the money you currently have in the general fund.
Is that, sorry, just to follow up on your point, it's directly related. Is there, would it be through the county who would find that exact number, or is that a number that you can give us for the cost, the projected cost for 5 years?
It's not a secret. I'll tell you what the cost is. Each platform is $125,000. Each platform. And to further answer your question, I don't have a problem. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just trying to make sure, one, I don't miss anybody and everybody has a chance to talk. Every year, the county produces a budget. Usually on or before November 15th, and before they do that, there's 2 public hearings. And it will outline that budget. As we do now in the sheriff's office, we have 200 some line items in the county budget. You can go and look at them online, and you can go to the county board, and they'll entertain your information to know what this dollar is going for, what it's being spent on. Absolutely. And if most of you know, since I've been your sheriff, I produce an annual report. This DFR program will be in that annual report, cost, calls for service, outcomes that we will share with you. There's nothing we're hiding on this. We are being transparent. That's on that front door. That's why we're holding this meeting. And to hear what people have to say, because he just gave me a good idea about putting somebody on that commission board or whatever group we do. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned FOIA, is all the footage taken by these drones able to be obtained that way?
I don't want to say all, because there may be something that we have to redact to protect somebody else, constitutional rights. So, it is an example, we're dispatched to 3200 North Monroe for a call, and we pick up something going on in the neighbor's house, we're going to redact that, because that is not related to the call with the son. Is that it?
Yeah, I have actually a couple questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
You
You jump in here.
would these drones, might be weird, like, would these drones be considered an officer?
No.
You know, you call them pilots and first responders, I was just curious about.
No different, it's another tool on our tool belt, like my radio. It's another tool
Yeah.
to do our
So
job.
are dogs, I mean, the dogs are considered officers.
Dogs are different,
Yeah,
because
well, I never seen a pilot.
the dogs are different, they have their own, shoot a dog, you can follow the same penalties that you should.
And then you said it was the same drones but different regulations.
sheriff's office, is the one that, obtained the waiver from the FAA.
Okay, and then my last question is, all the participating offices and all the cities that have their own programs, do they have the same program?
There are several that are going to the FLOC system.
Just
Several-
different regulations?
Same regulations, just different software and hardware.
Who governs those regulations?
Yeah,
Is it the government?
the federal government.
Federal government.
If you don't know, the FAA is the Federal Aviation Administration.
Okay,
I do this so often that I just figure, I am completely understand, I go to a fire meeting and they have a whole different set of acronyms.
And one thing I want to just let you know is, I as a sheriff established policy. I've established the policy that everybody will have one set of waivers. There are some, that's just a higher standard than that was required. Again, I set the policy for how our program operates, but I can't set anything less critical or less restrictive than the other guidelines.
my last question is about jurisdictions, so these things, they're flying in the air for Monroe County, and they go beyond the jurisdiction that an officer.
Well, in this particular case, the flight path that we
Oh, they
drove
don't.
is only half
Okay, I didn't know.
Completely within our.
within Monroe County's corners. That-
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk in different language, people are like, what do they put on these things, so we don't understand, please. see.
Will they be used to issue citations?
Absolutely not.
I don't
No
know.
traffic enforcement, absolutely not. And as the captain said, they're not used for surveillance. The drone first responders, let's get eyes on what we have, and we're still sending patrol cars. But the difference is, if we have a suspicious vehicle at Stewart and Telegraph, and we have an armed robbery in North Dixie, I can divert that car that's going to the suspicious vehicle, keep the drone potentially there, go to the armed robbery and launch the second drone. By all means, our intention is to not stop responding to law enforcement, it's just to get a quicker response and eyes on the scene. And we're still developing the criteria of what we're gonna respond to.
So do you currently have a policy that's outlined or drafted?
We do not have a policy outlined or drafted for the DFR because we're 20 weeks out. We have a drone policy that we will model the DFR policy after. Kind of putting on steroids. But there's a lot more to do. Next row, yes, sir.
I just want to say, first of all, thanks for coming up and doing the presentation. You know, I was aware that we had drones and would operate, we had also operating drones.
Everybody hear him okay? He was just saying thank you for coming out and giving this opportunity. If I say something's not correct.
Yes, and, so it was informative to me that the AI portion, which is something that we're probably all really nervous about. Right now, it looks like that just gets the drone out of sight.
That's not even AI, that's just sort of the GPS coordinates, right? So there's no thinking involved, it's, hey, where are my coordinates, where am I at, where am I going to? That's the only thing that's not controlled, and the pilot can control that, but that's the only thing that's just on, can't on that.
And then it's piloted from the,
Right.
okay.
Can we get this gentleman right up here, please?
So who are the drone pilots? Are those other officers?
Currently, yes.
And for this pilot program, it'll be officers piloting.
Yes.
So if there was ever an incident, are those officers responsible for anything that would happen? Like if we're pursuing someone in Blackwood, and go to the gas station, and I come out of the gas station in Blackwood, and I'm happened by the officers, because the drone pilot was like, there was a guy who's not responsible for that. Is that the drone pilot at that point?
Well, it'll be anybody that's involved, so there's an allegation of use the word misconduct, somebody that violated our policy. There's an investigation conducted, it goes through the different layers of the organization, and then it comes to me. There's 5 officers on scene, 5 officers will be part of the investigation. And if the pilot conveyed information, then he or she may be part of that investigation. Just so you know, for all use of response to resistance, for all traffic pursuits, a number of different entities in the sheriff's office. When I took over as sheriff, I implemented a process called meaningful review. We don't wait for a citizen to call in and say something. We do a meaningful review on everything. We do it for 2 purposes. To find out, 1, to make sure that we're following policy and procedure, to make sure our men and women are doing things correctly, and to mitigate our exposure to the environment.
And then, the portal tracking information that's public to see where the drone can now be shut off.
If they could be, we can choose, pick and choose, we're gonna have it public facing, right? We're not like this, we've got nothing to hide. So it's here, it's out and about, and that's what you get.
What's to stop someone from turning it off before flying your drone out? And then,
Our policy, like, on the admin side, we can pick and choose, the pilots will have it option.
And just so everybody understands, why would we shut it off? Let's say that we're gonna be executing a drug search warrant, we want some aerial surveillance or a SWAT mission, we may not want that conveyed to the public. We, as a group, the administration, we make a determination that says, listen, for officer safety and the safety of the public, we're not gonna put this on. But again, when we do this pilot, this is gonna be part of it. Okay, how many times do we have to shut that tracking system down on the public portals? And then we're gonna have that information, and we're gonna report back. It was a drug investigation mission. It's something where we didn't want to jeopardize the safety of the officer and the citizens.
How would turning it off help citizen safety when?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
How would turning it off help citizen safety? Wouldn't them knowing that that's where the drones are helpful or citizens to maybe, avoid the area or call me out, I don't follow your line there.
Okay, so if at 8 o'clock tonight, we're gonna execute a search warrant on somebody, a person that's wanted for murder out of Detroit's house, I don't want the public, because I'll be honest with you, most bad guys listen to the radio, they monitor everything we do, we're not gonna tell them anything, or we're not gonna forecast, hey, we're coming to get you. That's where we would use it. Again, every time that tracking device, and I establish who has the authority to shut that off. And I can tell you, it's probably not gonna be anybody below the rank of captain. And we won't monitor that, and we'll lead, and at the end of the 1-year trial, we will report back. Tracking system was turned off X number of times, and this is the purpose that it was turned off.
why floss?
We,
Versus other programs.
well, and that's a great question, because we have flock LPRs in the county, and they give us a free trial. It's a trial, and that's exactly why. I didn't want to spend $250,000 to buy a piece of equipment that had no return on investment. I was trying to be cognitive, as you as taxpayers' money, where can we get the best opportunity to test and evaluate this, I want to say system, but this equipment, to determine whether we want to move.
You said it was free.
Yes. So getting these platforms is free. There's cost, no matter what platform we went with, we have to pay and have the infrastructure put in place to run these. But we get them for 1 year, no cost.
Right, we're just paying for electricity and internet.
So then is the benefit of the flock that if it's successful, then you spend a bunch of money? And why are they giving you drones for free?
Well, one, they want us to look at their company, but we may look at multiple companies when we're done. We don't know what that looks like.
And we have looked at multiple companies before we even started this. It was mentioned that Taylor fees drone crash, and quite frankly, it is a substandard system that they were flying. That's all there is to it, right? We looked at their system, I went up there, watched them fly, and the drone that we have that's 5 years old is better technology than what they were flying. So we chose obviously not to go with them.
Can I ask the brand?
Free.
The brand,
Free.
Crash.
BRINC.
And again, I will tell you, I didn't do this background, right? We have probably the most to it, and we have, as I said, command officer from the city of Monroe, and Captain Rainey, probably the most educated law enforcement men that didn't do a drone in this county, probably in Southeast Michigan. I didn't get my hands into it, neither did the director of the Monroe City Police. We said, you men, go out, do the research, bring the results back to us. So that we have unbiased opinion on what's going on in the decision making. I will tell you, I trust these two, him, the captain, and the city, lieutenant, that anything they come.
And I just have one question. So what systems or rules are in place to prevent you to how you use the drones? Right now you say it's not for surveillance or speeding tickets, but then after the 5 years or however long, what's to stop you from being like, well, no, we're
And that's a great question. I can tell you right now, talk to your speeding issue. In the state of Michigan, you cannot use cameras to rent citations. You cannot. The government regulates it. Now, if the government changes it, that's one thing that the state government should say. Whether I buy into it and become my mistake. And I will tell you, if we change anything that has a substantial impact on the model that we're using and that we're going to implement at this trial, I will make it public notice. I will put it out to the public that we're making these changes. As long as I share it, I'm confident I can tell you, we will not use these drones this year.
What about general surveillance? I mean, what's to stop the use case of the drones expanding over time?
But the constitutional rights to search and seizure right now. I mean, I keep, we can do it, but then I'm gonna be in federal court, and I really don't want to throw my career and my credibility away for something that doesn't fit, right? We have better things to do than go out and look for things to put us in the negative light. We're not gonna do that. That's why this should be a prime example of us holding this meeting, this evening, this dialogue, that we're gonna keep everybody informed. Our policy and our drone, I don't have a problem once we review everything, as long as it doesn't violate any other rules or regulations, we share it. We have nothing to hide with this program. And I can tell you now, we have a drone now, we can launch that drone now. That's what we want to do. We've been using them since 2017. We don't do it. We don't do it. So by my math, 8.5 years, we've not violated the Constitution. I can only say since I've been a sheriff, 5 years and 4 months, and we're not going to trample on that.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a pro on this issue. And the first question I'm going to ask you folks out here, how many of you have grandchildren?
Don't use fear.
Pardon?
Don't use fear.
No, I'm not using, I don't want to scare anybody. I just answer the question.
That's a fear question.
Well, I don't know how it's a fair question.
Remember
I have seen
the comment,
Hold on,
that
let's
takes
go
a
back over here.
village to bring your children. Let's become that village again. Let's protect our children together instead of with robots and stuff.
What I'm saying though, if you had your grandchild or your child lost out in the middle of nowhere somewhere, and say, and you did, I'll give you a nice example. There was a lady that was in the cattails right off of Rainbow Marina on South Idaho Road. She'd been there for 3 days. The helicopter and the FLIR was able to find her. And FLIR is the Border Information.
And it was over inaccessible areas. I 100%.
Okay, but then you still had to fly to get to that location. And, you know,
Well,
you also
that's the
have
next thing.
we had to fly. We had to fly.
No,
We had to fly from the airport out to that location. Okay? You still have to fly with houses. Drones can have to do the same thing. All I want to do is let people know through experience. I spent 12 years in the aviation, 28 years on the sheriff's department. 2 years in Vietnam, flying helicopters, I am a helicopter too. The drones now are just a replace for the helicopters. They're not out for the spy on people. The whole project is to help. It's to help the citizens of the North.
I see more and more spying going on in this world by the government. And we should be surveillancing them.
Yeah.
It's not about it.
You do.
Not enough. Not enough.
All right, let's move on back here. Next question, I know the ladies are here.
Yes, I'm one of those Frenchtown ladies. Yes. And, yeah, I'm against the drones too, but okay, first of all, I feel it's First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, 14th Amendment, right? I feel like it's an invasion of our privacy, and I feel like we have a full-time fire department, we have a sheriff's substation right here, we have what we need, we have all of them. My problem is, okay, I'm not seeing that each day, I respect it. The thing is, the weaponization of them is what scares me, because right now, that is not governed by the FDA. That is
Federal law where you can weapons.
it's a state law, but, you know,
No, it's not the federal government prohibits putting weapons on.
well, I think I heard it had to do with state, but anyway, the thing is.
That's what we're here for tonight, is to give you
Okay, well,
the
let's
facts.
explain all laws in Mike, North Dakota have, because And the last thing I want to be doing is sitting on my patio and start getting pinged by, rubber bullets or paint bullets or tasers, because that's what North Dakota uses. So that's a fact. So, that scares me. Because I don't trust our higher up government. It's not that I don't trust you, I don't trust our higher up
You have
government.
every right to feel that way. That's why we're here to give you fact, not fiction. We give you truth. I see.
Well, then you need to look into that, because the
I need to look
weaponization,
into what?
the weaponization, because that's what scares me. North Dakota does weaponize them, and like I said, the last thing I want is to be sitting on my patio and then him start getting by rubber bullets because the drone messed up. You know what I mean? I can do anything. The drone messed up because they do make mistakes. And my other fear is, like you said, my grandkids have drones and they fall out of the air all the time.
There's a difference between a $500 drone and $80,000.
But it happened in Taylor, so.
What did the academy decide?
So, I mean, it does happen. And that's scary, the G-force is a very large drone, the G-force is heavy, unbelievable. So that's.
We're more than happy to calculate what that would be.
So in 2015.
It's 775,000. Yeah,
I don't know if it's not cheap, but I will say
that's the way
it's
it works.
South Dakota House Bill 1328 passed in 2015, allowing less than lethal weaponization of drones.
Okay, that's South Dakota. This is
Correct.
Michigan.
So it
What's that? I said one person at a time.
We can't put a weapon.
State would be not rights more and more every day, and we're
Some
losing
kind of
our
impact,
rights more
something
and more every day. I am so indignant in this township. It is not okay anymore. It is not okay. It is okay.
Nobody's taking them away. Nobody's taking them
Well,
away.
they tried over things, so I don't know.
I can't worry about that. I worry about meeting the 211 men and women that work.
If you were going to hire a governor, you'd be on your way.
You have something new?
Yes, we worry too about, I know you can say to the council, I'm a great, honest, integrity built person. But here's the thing, yes, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, are absolutely not against these. And I wonder why. It could be because our first, fourth, and 14th can be used. One, they can collect footage. Next, our free speech. Yeah, it could go over protests, even though you say, no, we're not gonna do that. We're becoming that. And that's the issue here. It's not, we aren't saying it's not fantastic good. We're not saying that. We're saying it's wrong. It's scary. It takes away our rights. And when we talk about problems, that means, when they did a whole study on April 28th, on Flock, they have 14 cases of stalking from police and other things that are happening. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying.
So you have 14 cases. You know how many flock cameras are in the country?
I don't know.
How many cases would there be with zero flock?
Well, because it's not right, kind of tough.
We need to focus on this because there is no reason to be like, well, 14 cases. 14 cases.
One case is too many. That's why we audit
And
our
you
flock
said,
cameras.
well, first you said, they're already here, you got to say.
Never
That's,
said.
you did too. You said that we have absolutely no say. You were there asking permission to put it on this and this. No, but there was no, if that's the case, then I wonder how we can repeal and take back those plots and those drones. Because they have been used. They are used for profiling people. And one of them, another case, let's talk ICE. Again, you said the problem that you had 89 people in your detention center. I don't know anything about
That's
that.
the question I hear.
No, again, so they're over there, and you are pro this, and there are some things going on that deals with profiling. Will you do it? But that's an open-ended thing.
So this is what I asked of you.
Giving you.
This is what I asked of you. Anybody in this room, you can find that a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee violate any of those rules that you just said, you bring it to me.
Do we get $1 million budget if we run to drones that follow
Let me
you?
hold on a minute.
That's an unfair question. You're using drones to spy on us. And you're saying that we can solve the
You're talking
problem
more information than that drone will ever give
Then
us.
why do you need it?
And we just had a lead audit by the state of Michigan and received a superior rating because we did not violate the rules and regulations. There are barriers in place. I'm not saying it can't happen. But what we are doing is we are putting those guardrails in place to ensure that these things don't happen.
I just got a question. With these devices, clock and drums, what would Hitler do? What would he do? If he had that on his thing, no matter how much time there is given.
I mean, I don't know, I guess I looked at, we
So
looked
then
at
when
how
he
many.
started changing around, like.
Hitler probably wouldn't have had this conversation.
Yeah. but-
It wouldn't have been this long.
Or-
Yes, ma'am. Hold on, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, yes. So, if we can talk about block in general, where block cameras, highly susceptible to cyber attacks, or nuclear attacks. Okay, so why would it not follow that drones would also be highly susceptible to cyber attacks, and therefore those drones could absolutely be spy on every system, not even your department, but have live feeds for any call that comes from.
So that's a great question, because I consulted with our IT person, who is probably the best in the state of Michigan. And I said, what liabilities or situations do we face by utilizing this technology? Remember I asked you the first question about the phone? There was nobody here that said you carry a phone. He said to me, sir, you have more chance of an intrusion in the device in your hand than you do in the drone and the phone. So, and if you don't believe me,
No, I'm not saying
if you
that.
don't believe me,
I'm
go
saying
home
this.
tonight, talk in your living room about something, open up your phone and see if it doesn't say, oh, you want my furniture lazy boy.
My wife is entirely
So, I put okay, yes, ma'am, she's got the floor.
sorry, that was not. So, okay, you have a great question. Are you aware of Fox connection into Frontier?
Did you want me?
Into Frontier? Are you aware of what Frontier is?
I am not.
Okay.
Look it up.
Is everyone else aware of what Frontier is?
That's why I'm here.
Well, again, I rely on our IT director to handle IT matters. I'm a police officer. I lead a police organization. I don't run IT.
Okay, so.
And we run everything through him. It says, are we opening ourselves up to a situation with different issues? And he assures me we are not.
I would like to talk about a potential situation that many people can solve.
I will rely on an expert in IT diagnosis.
Not an IT problem.
I understand. I understand.
See what you have to say.
So, Frontier, right? Alright, so Frontier owns Frontier. It has a database that has been collecting information on multiple databases, right? This goes back to the issue of X, which, sir, I understand.
Where did you get the word that I'm proud of?
You are proud.
You said it to me.
So you asked me a question, and I respond with an answer, and now that makes me proud. Because we're transparent.
Do you work with us as a department?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's enough.
Yes, and I'll educate you a little bit, but I thought maybe you would have had some information.
I'm sorry.
Okay. We're not, this is getting out of control. We're gonna reel this back. If you have questions, then I'm going to have to answer this deal.
Are you kidding me? You're okay with that?
Hey, excuse me. Excuse me, what did I say in the beginning? We're gonna be respectful of everybody's comments and opinions, and that's what we're doing. Dan, the green shirt, go ahead.
Sorry. I just have a question. How many captains / pilots are going to operate the drones?
We have one captain, Kate,
I'm sorry, I don't know the
yeah,
shape.
and I understand, yeah, so I'm the only captain, on the road patrol side, our uniform services division, then we have 5 total pilots at this time.
So your 5 pilots are all police officers, correct, for the Monroe County?
Correct.
Okay, so vacation time, I'm just throwing it out there. Do you have a scheduled vacation time where you don't allow 3 officers off at the same week, and then you have 2 officers that will cover? I'm just wondering if you're gonna have enough coverage, if somebody has to go out on medical, and how are these officers, men or women, how are they appointed pilots?
So, this, to start this pilot out, we're not gonna have 24-hour coverage at a workstation. We're gonna have one dedicated deputy working this 84-hour, these are 84-hour waiting periods. Outside of that, we'll have on-call, right? So whether you're working, we have a lieutenant who's a pilot, that generally stays at his desk, check reports and stuff like that. He works really nice. If the drone is the event, obviously he'll slot that from his computer and go from that. Other than that, we can send one of our licensed pilots home with a laptop. He or she can then just log on from there and fly the drone. So we won't have 24-hour and workstation coverage to start. If this proves useful, then obviously we would add dedicated pilots and keep that going.
Do you appoint those as captain to,
So we open that up for letters of interest, right?
I just didn't know, I was
yeah.
kind of wondering how they got appointed or.
A letter of interest, we bring in, we obviously look at their whole work history. They have to study.
At the end of the day, I make the final decision based on the qualifications, the trade, and test.
Okay, that's what I didn't know, I mean, how, if you just, I didn't know, so thank you.
You're welcome. You can self-study. I self-study myself. There's plenty of books and online study to be able to study for that. They also offer in-person or other online study courses. The last one we did, I believe, was $150 for a 2-day course. They get information to take a FAA test for a couple months like that.
In our risk management, our risk management organization also offers training. No problem. Anybody else over here?
Just real quick.
I'm sorry, you don't want to, I just didn't go Frenchtown.
Just real quick, when you figure out where locations can be in Frenchtown, we let everybody.
Oh, absolutely, oh, absolutely.
Real quick on, be real quick with this. Security researchers have identified vulnerabilities in flock hardware more than 60 flock surveillance cameras were previously found exposed on the open internet, allowing access to live feeds and archival footage. You want guarantees of your IT if this is going to happen with the device.
Well, and I don't want to sit here and tell you it's not going to happen, right? We can only put guardrails in place to do the very best we can. And if we do have a breach, I'll be the first to report it. If our IT, the SWAT tells me that we've had a breach of this information, then I will definitely share it. Remember, SWAT is a license plate reader. Your license plate is not protected. It's public information.
They do have audio, right?
But no, SWAT is not.
Okay, whoa, time out. Real quick, I was going to mention this. On March 29th, there were automatic gunfire supposedly in Frenchtown. I had 3 state cops fly over 100 miles an hour down Point Hole Road. One of them stopped at my house and asked me, "Did you hear gunfire?" I said, "Absolutely, I did, down the street at the state property." She says, "Does this happen often?" I said, "We live in a rural community, they're shooting every day." But she told me that it was picked up on audio through SWAT, is what she told me. And I'm just telling you what she told me.
We do not have any kind of shot spotter technology. The drones don't have.
So I guess I'm just asking, why did the state police turn around and say, where did they get that from?
I can't tell you.
Okay,
I'm more than happy to share the data, and when I say data, the schematics related to the flocks that we use in Monroe County. now those hats are shot.
Okay, I'm just asking because she did,
Well, no, but I
she
appreciate
was
your
respectful when she stopped. This happens all the time. I was trying to go home.
I would tell you call Michigan State Police, because I can tell you, the drone, the flag that we have here did not have shot spot. They do not. And again, as I told you, we have a great job with the first report. No problem.
You know, if it was there, we have people responding to gunshots every day, you know, you guys.
That's 100%. I don't disagree with you.
Thank you for your time.
You guys, you said you had another one for the range captain. So what are the ranks for?
The rank is for what?
To be private.
No, it said that nobody below the rank of captain can shut off the track. Yeah. So we'll go over here. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
How do you ensure that the auditing process, audited,
Yes, ma'am. To answer your question,
what will be the process?
so, again, my vision of this is, remember I talked about response and resistance to vehicle pursuits, we do meaningful review, we're gonna do a meaningful review on this. This is a pilot program. We wanna look at every aspect of this, good, bad, and a lot of information has been brought up here today. We wanna look and see, is this information being hacked? Did it get hacked? We wanna see what the outcome, did the aircraft fly like it was supposed to? Did it come back to the base station like it was supposed to? We are gonna look at every aspect that we can think of during this process and put them barriers in place to determine if this is a valuable program to move.
Can I ask another question? Because I'm assuming that they have this program in place. Yes, it's a trial program, but you want to have some kind of proof before you start doing this, that it's actually going to have good outcomes. So have you, is there any research available that are like non-profit or like corporations like that, or affiliated to those corporations that you evaluated or available to show research programs actually?
Well, I don't wanna get into I don't wanna look at programs, like, I don't wanna look at whether it's great or whether it's flop. What I wanna look at is the data, the missions that the aircraft flew. What were the outcomes and how valuable was it? We looked at, as we said, we looked at both of them. We looked at the airborne, we looked at downriders, we looked at fleet. And I can tell you, just if I say something, Catherine, that's incorrect, the information that was fed back to me was significant. It was a great value opportunity program for public safety.
Is that data,
We can still, go ahead.
Skydio is the base US-based manufacturer. They're huge in the law enforcement AFR program. Obviously, it's going to be based on all of their data, but they have a lot of it out there specifically. So if you want to look into Skydio, they basically the biggest vendor and they have the most information outside of flights.
we if your policy
If there's something that the public wants to look at, yeah. If there's, as long as there's something that's not going to challenge the credibility of the program, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's certain, I'll give you an example. We don't share the layout of our jail with the public, right? We just can't. And as long as there's nothing in that policy that jeopardizes the program, the aircraft, or the people running, I'm more than happy to share. Nothing.
Did you gather any feedback from the public?
So we're having this one.
Well, you've already made the decision before.
Pilot? Yeah, I did. I know coffee hours around the county frequently. I held them for a year. And I suggested the conversation. What's that?
Advertise them?
Yes, I do.
Say that, would you say that this was a subject of the coffee hours?
We talk about anything. I didn't specifically say it was going to be one to talk about VFR. I can tell you when I was in Petersburg last week, I mentioned VFR. And there was a number of people there, and they said, "We put one out here in Summerfield Township. Please, you want one?" And I said, "Hey, we're having a town hall meeting. Come on down and listen to all the facts in Frenchtown." I'm like,
I have a question about cost. What kind of liability protection will be in place?
that's a great question. So we're insured, county road insured by MMR, the Michigan Municipal Risk Management. They're based out of Livonia. They're the largest liability, municipal liability insurance carrier in the state of Michigan. I think they're the largest in the country. They only insure Michigan. We run our entire program for this type of program to them. They look at it and say, there's liability with everything, but the mechanisms, the guardrails that we're putting in place, they support our drones right now. They've approved, they insure all of our drones right now. They insure our SWAT team, they insure every piece of equipment, vehicle, and everything we have.
And that includes, protection if you are sued by somebody who's hurt by it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They are our risk management providers.
And how much is that bill going on for this program?
Nothing complete, it's based on our total county. I will tell you, it's $90,000 a year we share with health.
And how much is currently being spent on the clock program or in place?
Well, we have Bedford Township pays for flock. Now, we're talking two different things. We're talking LPRs and we're talking drones. So right now, Bedford Township has 4. Monroe Township has 4. Frenchtown 12. I think we're on line with 12, I think. And then the County of Monroe has had 20 additional flock units. $60,000. $60,000.
$60,000?
No, total.
Per year or per month?
No.
Because it's a monthly recurring fee.
No, there's no monthly recurring fee. Each camera can kind of think about $3,000. So
Okay. Your website reports differently then.
I can't help with their website reports. I mean, you're welcome to FOIA the invoice.
And they don't name yours, because I mean, I didn't do that, and I said, it must be, you know, I'm sorry, but it must be for. Or they just don't want like 15 thousand or where?
You got one, there's one you got 4 from here, 60 and 75, they're very small. So they're nothing secret about it. Yeah, we actually, we put out where they're at, the location, so they're all over the county. It's fine. Well, when we go to the various township meetings, when they like Frenchtown Township, we want 5 cameras, okay, where do you want them? This is where we've done. I have to say you're going to go back to the minutes, because they go to the base. We're more than happy to make 20 in this county. 20 in the county we started this year. And now, pardon me?
Did you say Frenchtown approached you?
No, I said Frenchtown has approved it, it's all their invoice.
Oh, I thought you said that they approached, they wanted to spot, they approached you.
No, it's no different than every township. I go around and say, this is what's occurring in your community, these are resources that are available, no different than the speed sign that Frenchtown Township purchased. I go in, they say, we're having problems with A, B, and C, I give them opportunities to address that problem. We know that, we personally know the value of flock, we can approach Frenchtown and say, hey, would you be interested in flock cameras in your community? They agree to that.
So Frenchtown, again, they don't have to prove it.
Because they take the cameras, the drones are shared.
Have you done risk assessment in CAP and non-community partners? You guys have to do how many communities around the state have actually downloaded all their law agreements with both parents and moms?
No.
Maybe that's something that you.
Okay. Okay, we surely look into that, absolutely. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go.
Maybe a community issue of feeling that a local community is subdivided.
Pardon me?
We have an issue with local community feeling that their government is subdivided by politics.
Right, well, thank you for that piece of information. That's what I said. We want the information and help. We appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I was just gonna check since it's just for Matthew, and it sounds like there's 40 flock cameras in the.
Actually, if you count Dundee and Byron, when everything's live, it's 64.
Okay, well, if they're $3,000 each, 3 times 6 is 18,000.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. Okay, right. It's a $3,000 each, and there's 40 cameras.
I didn't say that before.
One you said there was one in Monroe County, one in Frenchtown.
No. And I said, who's paying for the paying for these. Okay? The county of Monroe is paying for 20 lot cameras. The village of Dundee is paying for theirs. The city of Milan is paying for theirs. Frenchtown Township is paying for theirs. Bedford Township is paying for theirs. Monroe Township is paying for theirs. And then, let me finish, the city of Monroe is paying for theirs. But when the entire system is live, there's 64 LPR flat cameras. Conversation tonight is drone for EFI.
Well, the conversation's still flop, though. It's flop. Flop is the problem.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay. Anything else over here? All right, go over here. Ma'am, I know you started out with some questions. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am, you.
These things are run by internet, correct?
Can you talk a little?
She's asked if they were being run by internet.
Okay, well, that was just part of my thinking. So if the drones are run by internet, it's internet controlled. So what's to stop someone from interfering with the EMS denial of service?
It's always a possibility, right?
So
These
how do you
are
handle
sieges,
that?
sieges compliance are being locked down with encryption and obviously logging credentials. Is a, cyber attacks can happen for the federal government, and they spend
So
billions of
they're
dollars.
subject to that.
Absolutely.
Okay. The other thing I had, which most of the other people answered some of these things, I had a long list. The data you collect from that, how is it shared and with whom?
The video itself,
Anything, any data, any one bit, one bit, zeros and ones, will collect it. How is that shared and with whom?
so there's obviously the flight data, right? Date, time, location, coordinates, where we're flying to, where we're coming from, video. There's no audio whatsoever. The video is stored on flock servers for 30 days. If it's something criminal in nature that we require for evidence,
You have to
We
request
would-
a backup?
no, we would just be able to download that into our evidence software.
What do you do with it?
It's started internally in our evidence, countywide, the sheriff's office evidence. So we have a digital evidence locker.
Okay,
It would go into there for whatever our retention period is, depending on misdemeanor, felony, stuff like that.
and who has access to that?
Just law enforcement.
Just law enforcement. So that leads to, I know somebody kind of alluded, I think it was Lindley being right there, about, 14th Amendment that protect us of misuse of the vehicle tracking and how you prevent it by rogue officers.
There's vehicle tracking as far as I see a vehicle and I'm following with the camera or the drone, but there's
Because
no vehicle
it's
tracking.
initiated?
Because the pilot themselves say, hey, there's a suspect vehicle, and I'm not gonna follow them until I can get deputies in.
So how do you protect someone, any of your officers? Because people are human and they can do bad things regardless of which side you're on.
Absolutely.
Whether you're the criminal or whether you guys are going after criminals. What if one of your guys or ladies turns out that they're gonna just suddenly, they got upset with their boyfriend, parent, whatever, or somebody that they hated, and they suddenly go rogue? How do you handle that situation?
Obviously, you're never gonna get rid of the human factor,
That-
right? We're all humans.
I
Anybody,
get that.
once
How
we
do you
fi-
handle it?
there's gonna be an audit, right? Random audits of the flights to make sure if we find anything in violation of our policies, it's gonna be dealt with an internal investigation.
Okay.
If there was a complaint from a citizen, hey, my boyfriend's doing this, my girlfriend's doing this, we take it seriously, we investigate it, through the meaningful review, through an internal investigation.
Yeah, well, internal investigations, I don't trust those. Do you have an outside audit that helps you with that?
No.
No, well, you should. The last, and then I'll let somebody else go. What's your expectation in all of your review that you went around and did the other, police entities? What do you expect for increased conviction rates for this kind of thing? Do you have an expectation? Did you run the numbers to compare, what you're currently getting with just what's, you guys on the streets in your vehicles versus using these and spending all this money?
Well, conviction rate, man, you're mixing apples and oranges. when
Well,
you
a
talk
little bit,
conviction.
but what is your, okay, let me rephrase it then. What is your improvement rate,
The greatest improvement is gonna be the response time.
response time?
absolutely.
And what has other, police entities in other areas told you the increase was?
An 86% increase or reduction in response time. To get that first drone on the scene, to be able to provide that information. Is it a body right away? Absolutely not. But they're getting that information within 90 seconds to those responding officers to then give them better information to capture whatever they're looking for.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, yeah, come up with something else. We want to have.
Okay.
Anybody else?
One, I agree with everybody else, I think it's an infringement. For whatever reason, every time I mention that, everybody's like, well, don't do something legal. That's not the point. The
Well,
point
you haven't heard that said here tonight.
No,
Yeah,
not
you-
tonight, no, and I appreciate it. So that's first and foremost. I have seen it in action on my, chasing somebody on my property. It is kind of loud and obnoxious in a buzzing kind of way. Not a big fan, but if they would have caught the person that stole the Jeeps or whatever it was in the long run, might have been worth it. I see where it can be advantageous as far as the missing children. Again, I don't know. There doesn't, Monroe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of us have lived around the area enough to know back in the day in Monroe didn't exactly always have the greatest reputation. So a lot of people don't trust law enforcement. I don't know, maybe it's just me that say that. But if you can't hold your own accountable when you're working with them, why are we supposed to trust that when you have eyes in the sky, you're gonna do the right thing? And if not, somebody's gonna call you out on it. How are we supposed to, do you have a checks and balance to where if he's running the machine and somebody says, hey, you know what, we think something might be wrong. You know, he's kind of in the sky a long time and a little out of the way where he was supposed to be. Who's double checking?
We have many layers of evaluation.
Okay,
Pilot's a deputy flying. And it gets reviewed by the sergeant, gets reviewed by the lieutenant, gets reviewed by the captain, goes to the chief deputy, the undersheriff, and then me. So we have
so within the department, again though?
Sure.
Nobody outside of the department, okay. And then another
But,
thing I would like.
there are other entities outside that do numerous audits. We have
Okay.
the state, the federal government that audits our lien information. So there's other mechanisms, and the captain mentioned the word CJIS. We have to be CJIS compliant. So that's another layer of evaluation and protection.
Okay.
Is everything perfect? Absolutely not. The only thing we can try to convey to you tonight is we are putting as many guardrails in place to ensure my policies, the federal government's regulations, CJIS regulations are followed. And you're absolutely right. We cannot protect everyone. We have 211 employees, okay? Is there an opportunity for someone to go? Yeah. I'm hoping that we have them guardrails in place to identify them before they get off too far. And if they do, then it's our job in the administration to hold them accountable.
Okay, and then, another thing that I've been looking into also, and I know the EMF frequencies don't seem to be as much of a problem with humans, but they are creating problems with the birds of prey, the eagles, the hawks, red-tailed hawks, and such. Anything that has migratory patterns of behavior, it's causing problems within that dynamic, and they were saying about staying away from like the wetland areas and protected areas and stuff.
And like I said, we're not just randomly flying this. Obviously, if we have, I'm not gonna tell you we're not gonna fly around swamplands or something, right? 'Cause if we have something that takes us there, we're gonna fly there. But then as soon as we're done doing what we need to do, it's right out.
It's a public safety tool. It's a public safety tool.
I mean, I don't, but I mean, it's.
And that's okay. There's people in the room tonight.
Yeah.
We didn't expect everybody to leave here and say, well, Sheriff, we're all in agreement.
Well,
We
because
don't
the
expect
state
that.
of the world
We
right
come here
now.
today to hear your feedback, as I've heard a number of comments made tonight that have me making note. This is, man, this is good. These are things that we need to put in to bolster our guardrail.
All
So
right.
that's what we wanted public input tonight. That's what we asked for.
Well, and
We're not upset with what anybody said here.
I think, well, speaking for myself, I can't speak for anybody else, but the reason I come out, I wanna see if it's like another dog and pony show. In the sense that you see what you see on TV or whatever. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do watch some. I do YouTube videos more. But, you know, you see all that stuff going on and it, A leads to B leads to C.
I don't.
And by doing this, it's kind of, if people are paying attention, it kind of can lead there real quick.
Anything can happen with anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not here to tell you it can't. Okay, what
Absolutely.
we're gonna do is we're gonna mitigate our exposure to problems the very best that I can.
Okay,
And we can. That's why this, I didn't make this decision in a silo. We have a whole team that is
Right.
looking at this, from IT to rank and file to other agencies.
now, are we gonna be privy to see the rules that are set forth?
That's what the
for-
lady asked over there. As soon as we get these policies, I have no problem as long as it doesn't
Oh, yeah,
jeopardize
FOIA.
the integrity. No,
Oh,
we'll put it
no?
out on our website. We'll put a press
Oh,
release out.
okay.
We'll put a press release out and say, hey, our policies, our procedures are out there. He'll,
Okay.
he's here. He'll put it out there. He'll tell you. So, all
Okay.
right. Anything from this group? Yes, sir.
Is the presentation the officer put on here tonight going to be available online?
I don't see what reason why we can't put it out there. Absolutely.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I'll
Because
see if
A lot
we-
of people couldn't be here.
No, I understand that. What I think what we'll do is, we'll look and see with our IT director and see if we can put that out on the county website. And we'll do a press, I don't want to say a press release, because people in northern Monroe County, or north of Monroe County probably don't care. But we'll put out something, I'm sure the reporters will be more than happy to help us with that and get that word out, that, hey, it's out there. And we'll see if we can make that happen this week. I don't want to promise, but I'll see if we can make that happen with our IT director. Again, I trust his guidance on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
If I may, so will these camera or these drones be used to collaborate with like federal agencies if they are doing work in Monroe County specifically?
I want to, this is a drone first responder. So if somebody calls and says, there's a situation going on at Stewart and Telegraph, we're gonna launch that drone. We're not gonna say, is it a federal agency? And I'm just gonna use the example. Somebody calls in and says, there's somebody fighting with somebody at Stewart and Telegraph, we're gonna launch this drone. Okay, if you're asking if a federal agency is gonna call us and say, Sheriff, can we use your drone to do something? That's gonna be a case-by-case basis. I don't, again, I have to look at things, from 50,000 feet, if you will.
Understand.
And I don't wanna sit here and tell you today that if ICE agents come in and arrest somebody at Stewart and Telegraph, and we get a report that there's an altercation, that we're not gonna respect, I don't want to leave you with that.
No, I
Okay.
understand. I guess just to voice concern, if these are going to be used for 911 calls, right?
Yep.
But if there's any possibility, any teensy possibility, that federal agencies come in and say, hey, we are doing this program where we are going to do X, Y, and Z. We need your technology in order to aid us in this. What is stopping Monroe County from doing that if they don't want to? Or does Monroe County have to go along with the federal government and their missions? Because right now, we know that there's a lot of people in Monroe County facilities that were detained by ICE. Are these drones going to be going around aiding ICE to find illegal immigrants, profiling community members, and causing all sorts of mayhem? That's my main question.
I'm gonna tell you that, as I stand here today, I don't ever see that. But I don't wanna say never, because
ICE detaining people in our community.
they already are.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Are
here,
you going to
and all we do is get a call. We don't get a call when they're coming in. Okay, myself and the Director of Public Safety in the City of Monroe, we have a good working relationship in respect to the continuity of information. We've asked them, if you're coming into our community and you arrest somebody, please let us know when you're done so that we can answer if the public has questions. They don't have to call us up and tell us.
that
they're
we
doing it.
can detain them in our facilities and make money? My question is, are these drones going to aid them in their search for people? And this isn't just ICE, that's the pressing one now, but next year it could be another agency
Well, I guess-
overstepping over reaching.
I mean, is
our county sheriff's department going to collect elaborate, is federal government using these technologies if the federal government is overseeing?
We are not going to use any of our resources to violate somebody's constitutional rights. You use the word overstep. If you're referring to constitutional rights, we are not. But if any law enforcement agency.
If you'll internally investigate it, if you do?
If our men do?
Yeah. If you do violate our rights, you'll internally.
If we violate your rights, we'll be more than happy to conduct an investigation. And if it requires a third party from outside, we will do that too. We had an unfortunate situation occur in this county at 11:16 a.m. Sunday morning. A third party agency is investigating that. If that doesn't show you transparency, I don't know what does.
I'm not
Okay, but I can tell you that if a murderer comes into this community, I don't care who's looking for him, and he's in this or she's in this community, I will deploy every resource I have to take them into custody to prevent another tragedy in this community. That's my oath of office to do that. And I will not put barriers on the resources I use.
Even if it would harm the rest of the community in that pursuit.
As I just said, we are not going to do anything to put more residents in harm's way, but if we have somebody in this community that has committed a murder, I am going to use all resources at my disposal to take them into custody.
I have the utmost confidence in you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So I have a handful of questions. So I guess my first question is, when it comes to, what's the best way to phrase it? So I used to hold a Part 107 license, so I understand the law pretty closely. Essentially, someone has to be held responsible when there's an accident that occurs with a drone. Who will be held accountable when the drone is in automation use? So like, I guess if they're operating multiple drones and this one is flying its course to the location, who will be held responsible if it falls on this time?
That pilot is responsible from the time of launch to the time of landing. Whether they fly in one drone or whether we get away from multiple drones, that pilot is responsible for everything.
Okay, will they be held accountable to the full FAA laws and regulations?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Flock Safety is still a very new company. Why them? They just got into the drone industry. Why not DJI? You guys already currently use them. They have solutions out there that are far more cheaper and better.
We are actually using DJI drones to fly with the CFR program. Flock is simply the software that we're using behind. The hardware is DJI, Flock is the software.
Okay, cool. And then, I guess, what data would Flock be collecting? Because all the, I guess, data is going to be touched by Flock's servers. So essentially, what audits or checks and balances are in place to ensure that they're not collecting unnecessary data?
All of their software that we're using is CJIS compliant, right? Criminal Justice Information Systems compliant. So it's all FBI regulated and government regulated as far as encryption, storage, and access.
Okay, and I'm an active system admin right now, so with IT stuff, I'm pretty knowledgeable as well. I heard you state that there's going to be guidelines put in place for cybersecurity and stuff like that. What type of guidelines are going to be put in place? Are they going to be utilizing passkeys, biometrics? Is it open to the web? Are they going to have to access it via a VPN for an internal network?
I can promise you you're both. Either one of our skill sets.
That's why that's information that we rely on our IT director to make sure they don't take us, we don't go down a path that exposes us.
So they have to do that, they have to come into the, pass all the right keys in, and access codes, OAuth, all kinds of stuff.
And that's beyond my skill set.
Yeah. We trust the people with that skill set, which is our IT director, to guide us on that.
And then my last and final question, you mentioned the dog and the family in the video. How is that benefiting them? You said that they didn't even know that that person was back there.
That was just a comment.
Okay, I was just
this guy was in their backyard with the firearm.
Benefiting them.
No, just he was in their backyard with the firearm, just to talk to somebody, and they had no clue that was there. And without that drone, law enforcement would have known they were there either.
Okay, awesome.
All right? All right, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have also a question. Keep in mind that I couldn't hear earlier, so I just wanted to.
Nothing's a waste of time, that's why we're here.
So I understand that you're answering your questions, but you already, decided on the pilot, correct? So the pilot is happening.
We're the pilot, we're in the infancy stages of the pilot, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, but the pilot does have a contract,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay, are you familiar with the contract?
Yes, I am.
You are, with the details of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, is your IT director here tonight?
No.
Does your IT director have a department?
Yes, he's the director of the IT department.
Okay, so anything that is IT related, you can't answer. Are you planning to have another question and answer session? Since most of this is above your pay grade, as you put it, and relates to.
No, the IT stuff is.
Yeah, which is a lot of the stuff. I mean, I'm not even being, it just is. So it makes sense to have the person.
I'll even after I am able to evaluate all the information that was conveyed here, I'll make a decision whether we think the public.
We're thinking about it.
Pardon me?
I'm really thinking about it.
If you, I don't want to cut the sheriff's off, but if you have specific questions that you would like answers, I can, provide those to me, I can get with the IT director and see if we can.
I think it could be better in public, but, I mean, I'd be happy to put together those questions. You mentioned other agencies helping make the decision about the pilot. What other agencies?
Our county IT department, the Monroe City Public Safety was involved in the conversation.
Okay, no other local or state?
Well, the outside agencies, the ones that we evaluate, right? So we've gone to the Taylor Police Department, Dearborn Police Department, City of Toledo, and I feel like there was one more, Oakland County.
Any of those, branches you evaluated, did any of them actually utilize SWAT, or did they utilize a different brand?
The Toledo Police Department's using FLOT. Southfield is in the early stages of using FLOT. Oakland County is also going to FLOT.
Have you heard the name Peterfield? And you weren't familiar with them? Okay. And then, are you, familiar with 404 Media? No. Okay. Just running through some things. So, okay, so, you talked about humans running it, captain, and then people assigned to the planes, right? And they're mostly, or the drones, and they're mostly gonna be first response 911 calls, right? Okay. How does an AI-powered drone software fit in when there's humans involved? What's the difference?
There is no AI with this, other than getting information from CAD, the 911 call, plugging in coordinates, the call type, dispatch puts in there, so that's all human
There's
interaction.
humans all throughout it.
Correct.
Okay, you know it's powered by AI software and speak, right?
What's that?
The software itself is AI run and powered. That is,
In what mode, or what fashion? I should say.
like, the program is artificial intelligence itself, which is 10 to 20 times faster than normal software and process. It's the whole reason why we have surveillance state hyperscale data centers coming into our state. But I won't. It's probably like an idea, but it's true. There's also like serious gaps with AI quality. But anyway, I'm gonna get off topic. Okay, so that's cool. So you mentioned the city of Milan came for theirs. Did the city of Milan have a part in this?
Yeah, the city of Maryland just has the license plate reader, not the
The
drone.
flop.
Right, I know, but do they have more? Because the way you said it, it kind of sounded like they're paying for theirs, blah, blah, blah. They're flat, you know?
Ma'am, you've lost me in your question.
You mentioned the city of Milan as one of a few examples of local municipalities that are using FLOT and paying for
Flop,
it.
license
This
plate
is
reader.
kind of what you-
Flop, license plate reader. Yes, ma'am.
Right, so they didn't like participate in the drum thing and I just didn't know about it.
Correct.
Great. The city of Milan, their flocks that they pay for, which are right by the interstate for obvious reasons, they share their data with, there's a website that you can track how police use flock. Are you aware of that website? Do you know about it?
100%. If anybody that wants to see our flop license plate readers, not drones, we have to approve the access. Yes, ma'am. All
Okay,
across
so
the
you
country.
already published the whole, the data, the type, the date, the officer.
What do you mean by
that
public?
level?
What do you mean by public?
Okay, so you're actually probably not aware of what I'm talking about.
Well, there are several websites obviously related to flock and anything.
But not, this isn't put out by FLOC, trust me. So this is something that the city of Harlem makes available, as do many police police departments around the country because they're not trying to hide how they're using it. But not a lot of them also do that. So I would definitely send you the website so you can be aware of the choices that you may not have been totally educated by, from Flock.
Thank you.
Is anyone from or connected to Flock present in this meeting? Anyone? No one is here from Flock that you know of? No? Not connected to Flock, not necessarily Flock, but part of the deal and the reason why you're here. I'm just asking, okay? I've been to a lot of public meetings for a lot of reasons lately, and there's a really good reason why I'm asking.
Was the slideshow device on Flock?
Yes. I should, not all of it, parts of it, right? I took parts of theirs and then added stuff, from us.
Are you aware that Flock has, as recently as late April, a week or two ago, lied about their access that they give to federal departments, and that includes the FBI? And then they found out in Wisconsin, and the police revoked access and got out of their comment. Okay, that would be a 404 media, plus other, that's a national reputable media organization that's investigated journalism. So I see you, like, I see your expression, but there are several very real public safety concerns that you may not, you definitely aren't aware of.
Hold on a minute. Maybe I missed it. What was your background in public safety?
Can I answer your question when I'm done with mine? Because I do have a background in public safety, and I'd be happy to tell you my expertise.
Would you be?
After I'm done. I'm not done. I'm speaking. Can you wait? Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, so Peter Thiel, you did not know. Your liability insurer is also Tokyo Marine.
No, our insurance, our
What
liability.
is it called?
Isn't it? It's MMRMA,
Which stands for,
Michigan Municipal Risk Management Association.
which is owned by,
It's owned by its stakeholders, which is every community that is involved in it.
okay. We'll have to differ on that, but.
No, we won't have to differ. I'm very well versed in it, being I sit on a couple committees, and the CFO of Monroe County is the chairman of the board of
Okay.
MMRMA.
But Tokyo Marine owns that company.
Tokyo Marine does not own
Are you-
MMRMA. I'm 100% sure as I stand in front of you today. There's
Okay.
only one subsidiary part of that, it's called Greenstone Investment.
Where are they at?
They're out of Livonia.
So, okay, so I could be wrong, and thank you. I feel like you might be right.
No, I will tell you I'm 100% correct.
Okay, well, it sounded familiar, and I've like spent a lot of time learning about Tokyo Marine and their 26-ish subsidiaries.
And what they do is they do a lot of home foreclosures and things of that nature, civil cases, so I'm well aware of that.
Normally, I also do risk and liability insurance. Anyway, are you familiar with the phrase heat map?
Yep,
Good, okay. So, are you familiar with pattern of life?
pattern of life in respect to
The
what?
phrase.
Pardon me?
The phrase pattern of life.
It's a very broad phrase. It can involve a number of
It
different
connects to
perspectives.
heat map.
Pardon me?
Clock, it connects to clock and heat map. Not know? Okay, I'm just checking, okay? I'm not trying to offend you. Pattern of life is, so Flock, again, on record, you can contact other municipalities to find out. This is true, has denied creating a behavioral pattern of life with their data and that Flock. So they do use a heat map in ways they describe accurately, but they actually do a lot more, and they have been accepted in public record. There's a big reason why municipalities all over the country are pulling out. It's because municipalities have listened to Flock. This gets to my last question. It's because municipalities have listened to Flock's sales presentations and not done opposition research, essentially on, what might else be good to know. So I'm saying, the last question I have is, what have you learned and from who that is not related to Flock, about Flock? What concerns, what alternatives, what questions did you ask? What was your, did you do a bid? I mean, how did you decide on Flock? Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to.
Just be simple sometimes.
And it was very simple response. They were the company that would come in and allow us to test this product or platform for free.
Right, but then you have to pay for it, right? So it's like a.
If we continue.
Right, exactly.
And that was your own criteria to select them over any other alternatives.
No, not at all.
What questions then did you ask or concerns did you bring up to vet them out before deciding to move forward with this contract?
So Flock's allowing, they use the DJI drones, right? I currently fly DJI drones. They're the best around right now, right? For the price, there's no comparison. We fly DJI drones. We checked with Skydio. We checked with Brink. We checked with another company I can't think of off the top of my head. For the price, the quality of the software and the hardware, plus obviously the 1 year a free trial. There's no other option.
When I asked what questions and concerns you bring up to them, not just what other alternatives you evaluate, can you answer that question, please?
I didn't get you, I'm sorry.
He said, what concerns and questions, like, how did you choose them? What made you feel safe about it? What were your concerns and questions that you asked them? You know?
My biggest concern is hardware, right? Without good hardware, this whole program doesn't work, right? Software on top of that. We're a Flock subscriber as it is, right?
Right.
We've been happy with results that we've seen from their software. I can't say I don't have the background in the investigation of things that can go wrong, things that have gone wrong, things that will go wrong with Flock or any of the software that we use, right? I can't tell you that.
So if that's the case, what made you think that you were qualified to make that decision in that moment to go forward with this pilot program?
Well, that's why we have a whole team, right? From IT, multiple agencies, and a whole group making that determination.
This is the meeting where you moved the public comment to the end, right? But after you decided, why did you do that?
This is an informational meeting for everyone.
Not this, the meeting where you decided on the pilot.
I'm sorry?
The meeting where you voted to do this pilot, but the public comment happened.
There was no vote.
Wasn't that?
There was no vote. There was no vote.
We didn't get a vote.
There's no vote.
That's what I mean.
We didn't get a
It's
vote.
no different.
Before the pilot.
It's no different. Did you vote on the fleet of programs I voted? Right, because as a sheriff, I have certain responsibilities that I have to follow. Okay, we brought this because we listened to the public on various use cases in different elements. What's the good, what's the bad? We brought this because there were some folks at the Frenchtown meeting that said we have some concerns. I said, you know what? Let's bring it. This is a pilot program. Okay? I make decisions every day that don't go to the public for their input. Okay, we are the 14th biggest county in the state of Michigan.
And what happens when police robots come? Because this is what we're building up to.
Always
Because everything will lie.
I'm hoping that I'm done. Okay?
You're hoping, yeah, that's great. I'm not. I don't want someone without the common brain to.
Now, we can one in this together. Okay? We can one in this together.
But
And
that's-
nobody here disagrees that officers can't go wrong, that equipment can't fail. Okay? We drive patrol cars. They fail us every day.
The
You
human
asked
scale,
about-
it crashes.
Yeah, and you asked about what research that we did. We do the best that we can with everything we buy, every decision we make with training, everything we do the best research. But can we what if this to that? Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we all had no idea about the security concerns with Flock when we went ahead with this, huh?
I consulted with the expert. Okay, I'm not an expert in everything.
Expert singular?
Okay, expert.
No.
Yeah, excuse me.
You know, yeah, I mean, if you have a question and you're willing to listen to my answer and accept it, then that's fine. This is not a debate. I said this was a conversation.
This is not really a good answer to the question about.
I don't know anything about Flock.
Okay, yes, sir, thank you.
I was just curious, I've noticed that some districts have their lock agreement or lock contracts adapted to the public, general public. Is E part of this lock agreement, always the part of the concern? Is any of that adapted from us?
We haven't had to see the request to look at it. So I don't want to comment until we run through our meeting.
I feel like it's something that we should know, right? Like if any of this redacted.
Because if it's a 7-page document, because I may not have the knowledge of that particular news or something like that, doesn't mean I don't take it seriously, just means I'm being honest with it and I'm aware of that particular thing.
So if somebody is setting part of the information, you will take that.
I would give it to the people that can understand it, and dissect it and say, hey, is there something we need to do? That's the whole reason for this dialogue, was to bring to us what other areas we need to look at, and what's true and what's false. That's it.
It was hard to tell from the map and the presentation, how far over Lake Erie can the drones actually fly? How much of the 3.5 mile radius is over Erie?
We don't have our final location for Frenchtown. So obviously, 3.5 miles from wherever that base station is. I 100% want to get at least over the state park area. We have a lot of water. Right? So that's going to be a huge thing to do. But obviously, if it was so far east that 2.5 miles are out of the water, we would have 1 mile to the west.
And this is why we said this is private, right? We may find it where we put this is suitable for our maximum use.
And then you gave a bunch of examples of how they were used effectively. Were there any examples of like mishaps with flock?
Not that I'm aware of. It was mentioned that they were drone crashing. I'm aware of that. I can't tell you one way or the other what the flock software like any of their kernels crashing. As far as it not being useful, there's going to be plenty of calls that we send this on, either looking for people or looking for stolen vehicles. Well, we're not going to find them. There's no doubt about it. However, as we work through the process, pilots will learn what works best. The administration will learn what works best, and hopefully we'll find you.
Have you been trained on the software that uses the drone pricing?
The drones itself, yes.
Like how they're gonna be used, you know how to operate them and stuff. I imagine for pilot, you would learn that.
Part of the fun, we have been trained on their actual software. The flying aspect is not a problem.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But we don't have everything put together yet as far as the CAD and the 911 and everything else in their actual flight software. We'll get trained from that once we get the base stations from the device.
Okay. Do you know if you can program it, or you like put in variables as you send it out, and then it goes and looks for a license plate, or it looks for certain things like data, like you plug data in, and then it goes to look for that in an
No,
area?
the only thing it'll do automatically is respond to GPS coordinates. It doesn't.
So you
There's
send it to
no.
a location, but you.
Right. And then from there, it's on the pilot to find whatever you do.
So out of curiosity, DJI's like suite already covers all of those tools, minus block. Why not, once again, why not just use DJI drop block and then be good? Because like they have tracking features that DJI drones.
The tracking is more, in my experience, more deployed. Right? You're much better off just flying instead of clicking on the car and watching it. Then okay, now I can follow the camera.
But if they can't automate like locating license plates or stuff like that, then what is the purpose of block being involved with the operation of the drone?
The integration with the CAD, the Block 911, the LPR system, is that complete interaction and capabilities that make it beneficial.
I see. Do you guys fall under the same regulations as regular Department of Civil license holders, where they need they can't fly over crowds, and if they do fly over crowds, they need a special clearance from the FAA first?
Yes, but that's also part of the waiver we received from the on-road alarm system.
Okay, cool. And then my last question, you guys mentioned like butt dials and then like a dispatching drone. And then how many times do you guys dispatch an officer for a misdial?
I actually.
Is there any
If we get
statistics on it? Like,
I'm sure if someone wanted to do the research on it, but any kind of 911 hang up, we respond to.
so you guys call that, which is different than dispatching someone. If this is supposed to be like first point of contact or like eyes in the sky, why dispatch a drone when we could just make a phone call?
Well, that would be on the real-time central dispatch. If they got a 911 hang up, they would call that. And I'm not saying the drone pilot obviously is unable to listen to every 911 call.
Right.
That's just not, not feasible. But if it was something that they were dispatched to, hey, 911 calls, a lot of times, oh, hang up, they'll call back and is it a kid playing, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I did this. Or is it someone screaming in the background? Now I know there's a real reason to send that girl.
Okay. Have you signed this contract?
Yes.
Will you please continue some of the stuff that was mentioned, because especially for risk and liability, and stuff, and call another municipality that has experience and stuff that's not connected to your deal, because it could save time, money, and goodwill, and safety, it could be good reason for this moment. Just a record, I'm not looking for it.
Thank you.
And since the contract is enrolled, are you guys tied into continuing with them after the 1-year trial?
We have 365-day opt-out, no money.
Okay.
We continue past that.
No, you're,
What's that?
I'm like, no, you're not. We do not like them, you want to like them by the time.
Luckily, we got those 365 days.
And that's, and at the end of the day, the results are results. That's why it's not a decision that's going to be made on one person. It's going to be a group put together to evaluate it effectively.
If you need any nice citizens.
I'm sorry?
I said, if you need any nice citizens that will communicate honestly, just let me know. I'm joking, I mean, I'm not.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna take just 2 questions. I can't hear you.
When did that 365-day period start? And then
Not until we go live with the base station, we're going to fly.
We're minimum, we're 20 weeks out. And we will keep everything posted on social media. Once we have an opportunity to evaluate everything that was said here tonight, in what direction, we're gonna put stuff out on social media to make that transparent. Not a problem, we appreciate it. Yes.
So last December, some investigative journalism that came out about 60+ more cameras, basically, because Fox, the responsibility as a company, streaming live out to the public internet for anyone's access to that. Was that taken into account when you were doing security assessments and choosing which companies to use?
Again, everything that's out, we have to look at what's true and what's false. Okay, we know there's this, and we're well aware
Are
of
you
it.
saying that that information is wrong?
Pardon me?
Are you saying that that
I did not say that. I said there's some information that is factual, there's some information that's fictional. And I personally will bear out what I can to find out if something's bad. Along with, I trust our IT director with everything. And if he says it's something we need to be concerned about, we're gonna take his advice, 100%. Because that's his skill set, that's why he's the IT director and I'm not, that's why I'm the sheriff.
So you're not saying it kind of sounds like you're not heard about that? Have you heard about that incident?
Sir, I get 100+ emails a day, and I get overloaded with information. I do the best I can with what I know. If it's something that gets my attention to a project, I look into it, or I assign somebody. Okay, no different than here tonight. The things I heard tonight, and how intelligent we are, the man brought up the thing, good information. We